What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Evil and Intoxicated here with Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. And above me, of course, as always, Ted Jack. What's going on, Ted?
Hey, Eddie. What's up, man? How you been?
I've been doing awesome here on the East Coast. Kind of snowing here, but for the most part, it's been melting away. Been skating around my driveway for the past couple of weeks. But all in all, man, 2018 has been kicking off with a lot of momentum here on the podcast. I've been seeing a huge boost in views on Instagram. I reached like 500,000 people just this week on Instagram. And just for everybody tuning in the podcast, I just want to say thank you guys so much. And they've been asking, Ted, I've been seeing so many messages on Twitter. You can look on the YouTube page. Everyone's going, where's Ted Jack? You guys need to get back and do a show. Things have just been so busy, guys. But here we are. We are live tonight. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe below. But if you want to catch the show out live, Ted's always going live throughout the week on his YouTube channel at Ted Check. But Ted, what have you been up to, brother?
Well, and Eddie, first, I appreciate everybody asking about us. That's nice. It's nice to be wanted, right? Everybody wants to be wanted.
Yes.
I've just been doing my thing. Monday nights and Wednesday nights, I go live, and there's always a good conversation there. And then I've been doing the Fight Friends, so for the major events, for the big UFC events. So it's kind of like the Fight Companion, except I didn't like the word companion. I thought that was kind of a lame sounding term, so I said Fight Friends. We're all friends.
Yeah.
Fight Friends, yeah. So that's what I call mine. Fight Friends. It sounds better.
And it seems like a lot of people who can't afford the pay-per-views tend to tune into, the Fight Companions, the Fight Friends, Fight Buddies.
Right. Yeah, I try to strike a balance between doing the play-by-play and, interacting with everybody that's on the chat. So and it's a delicate balance. It's not easy, but I try to do that. Because I hear that some other streams, people don't even talk about the fights, really.
Yeah.
They talk about everything but the fights. It's like, well, that's kind of why we're here. But anyway, so been having a lot of fun with that. Things have been going great.
Well, you know what? Something new that I've been trying out, going to the bookstore. I was listening to Rogan's podcast with Matt Brown, and I've always loved the story of Matt Brown and, what he's come through. And they were talking about this book, and as soon as I heard them talking about it, I was like, you know what? I got to go check it out. So I went to Barnes & Noble today, Ted. I got, maybe some of our listeners have read this book. I know that it's actually like a staple in a lot of gyms that you have to read this book before you can even train there. The Book of Five Rings. I don't know if you've ever heard about it.
Oh, I have a couple copies, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do, because there's different versions, there's different translations, because it's translated from the Japanese.
So I just found out about it today. What exactly am I in for here with this?
Miyamoto Musashi was a samurai, or he was I believe he was a ronin. So in other words, he didn't have a master, but he wandered around the Japanese countryside looking for people to fight. And so he was I don't believe he ever was bested. He was undefeated, I guess, in sword fighting. And so he wrote this book kind of at the tail end of his career. It's like pretty much all of his knowledge. And the most famous thing I think that he was involved in was he went to meet a rival on an island off the coast of Japan, and for whatever reason he didn't have his sword with him. So he used the oar, as the legend goes. He used the oar from the boat, and the other guy had a regular katana. He had a regular sword, samurai sword, but Miyamoto Musashi beat him with an oar.
Wow,
that's as the legend goes. But no, the guy really was a gifted swordsman and philosopher. So that's what it is that you're going to be reading there.
I'm looking forward to it. I picked that up, and I also picked up the recent issue of Fighters Magazine. I don't know if you're big into that. I don't know if a lot of our listeners are, but Eddie Alvarez made the cover, so I had to pick it up. Something new I'm going to get into. I follow him on Twitter. So, but you know what, Ted? We have so much to talk about today. There have been so many headlines Our listeners have been so anxious, but before we jump into today's show, I just want to give a quick preview of what you guys are in for. Of course, this weekend we have a pay-per-view event. Some of you guys out there aren't too happy about wanting to dish out $60 for this because it's not really a title fight, and usually pay-per-views are title fights. There's been a lot of fight announcement that some of you guys are for, some of you guys are against. So me and Ted are going to kind of go back and forth with some of the latest headlines. Ted, what else are we going to be discussing on today's show? We got the fight announcements. We have Jacare Souza as well, with an amazing win last weekend over Derek Brunson. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, I most certainly did. Yeah. So he thinks that he's my maybe next in line for the shot, but of course we've got to figure out what's going on this weekend with UFC 221, and that's another thing we can talk about too. Rockhold and Romero.
So there's a lot to discuss and a lot of fallouts too. Unfortunately, the injury bug is back at it again in 2018. I guess no one got their vaccines, Ted.
Wait, what's that? What about the vaccine? Sorry, I was distracted by the chat. Orlando wants me to shotgun a beer, but I don't have any with me down here. I gotta get some cans. And
Shotgun a monster.
Thing, all right, I'll do that sometime. But anyway, what are you talking about? Vaccines?
Yeah. The injury bug striking again. It looks like nobody got their injury bug vaccine.
Oh, the injury bug vaccine. Yeah, Max Holloway. That seems to be the latest one, but of course that gives us another intriguing fight that we're able to salvage UFC 222. So we're going to have Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega.
And also, guys, we're going to jump into it right now, but make sure you subscribe down below. Follow Ted on Twitter at TedCheck. That's TEDCZECH. And you guys follow me on Twitter as well at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCL. Also on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. Guys, I actually interviewed Max Payne Griffin as well, who's going to be fighting Mike Perry. So you guys can go check that out, Pure Evil MMA on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. All right, Ted, let's get into it. A lot of fight announcements this week. I think the right one to start with, though, the one that seems to be getting the most hype, is Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega. Now, this was a fight that was originally supposed to be matched up with Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, the champ, right. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. When this news broke that Max Holloway was out, your first reaction, what was it?
When I found out about Max Holloway, I mean, I was bummed, but it being a pay-per-view, I thought there was a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. I knew there was a chance that they'd be able to save it somehow, one way or another. That they'd be able to come up with something. Considering that we're a little bit, we're however many weeks it is that we're almost at 221, so we've got a little bit of time. And I was confident that they could do something. And you remember, I'm sure, right after Brian Ortega won his last fight, he said he pretty much knew that they were gonna sign Frankie and Holloway. So he said, well, I would like the winner of that. I'll be patient, I'll wait, but I want the winner. So Max is out. So just put those two guys together.
You know what? And I like that attitude that he's got. But you know what? When the situation presents itself, he's not going to say no to it. He's not one of these guys that goes out there really calling anyone out. Like, he really wants to follow the tradition of the rankings. But you know what? Taking people out like Cub Swanson is making you deserving of fighting people like Frankie Edgar next. But Frankie Edgar is known as the guy who's going to stop the young up-and-comers like we saw with Yair Rodriguez, let's not forget.
And there are people that are comparing the two. Somebody left me a message about that saying, oh, I think it's going to be just like Frankie versus Yair Rodriguez. I don't know if I'd put Ortega in that category, in quite the same category as Yair Rodriguez. I think Ortega has a little bit more experience.
Well,
I think he's more polished, and he's also not a guy that it's a different style that he has anyway. He's not a spinning shit kind of dude.
Yeah, spinning shit.
He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, and Frankie is no slouch on the ground. I mean, that's not his forte, but we know he trains with Renzo Gracie and Ricardo Almeida, so he's got the chops, but he just likes to box and wrestle. That's his thing.
Well, we've seen it a couple times with Brian Ortega that he tries his best at striking, and he really keeps up with a lot of the fighters, but he gets hit an awful lot. And I'm nervous to see what Frankie Edgar is going to bring to the table, because if he's getting pieced up by guys we barely know, or even Clay Guida, an older Clay Guida, that was whooping his butt for almost the entire of 3 rounds, and just gets caught in the last couple of seconds, in the last minute of the third. And that's been happening a lot with Brian Ortega. The last couple minutes, the last seconds of the third round, somehow he comes back and wins. Frankie Edgar's a different animal. He's a different beast. But a lot of people are labeling Frankie as the Uriah Faber of that weight division. Would you agree with that?
Of the featherweight division, he's the Uriah Faber. So kind of like always a bridesmaid, never a bride kind of thing. Like he's good. He's very, very good, but he's not great.
Well, he's been the champ before, but will he get it again? I don't
know. Has he been?
Not at this weight division. This weight division.
He was lightweight champ. He's not featherweight. So, but you're talking about the feather. He's the Uriah Faber of the featherweight division. I mean, I don't know. How many young guys is he going to be able to face before he finally turns into the Uriah Faber? If he's not, where he's over the hill. I mean, he's 36 years old. You know what I mean? You have to wonder about these things. I mean, fighters. There's a peak to your fighting, and then there's a slow descent, or sometimes it's a very sudden descent. But so you wonder, is this okay? So he looked great against Yair Rodriguez, but will he look great against Ortega? Or is Ortega the guy that's gonna unseat Frankie?
And that's what I'm seeing a lot of fans, at least online, saying. And it was my first gut reaction too, Ted. Is this a smart idea for Frankie Edgar to do, first off, because he is right there with the title shot in his hands once again. Like he was right there with the Jose Aldo fight. It was right there at UFC 200. I believe it was UFC 200 with Aldo and Edgar. Correct me if I'm wrong on Twitter or in the chat room. But it's always right there. And it seems like this time Max Holloway gets injured. Brian Ortega, even though he's a young up-and-comer, even though Frankie does have the upper advantage amongst those guys usually in the past, this one scares me a little bit, and I could see Brian Ortega getting the win, and then even maybe taking out Max Holloway. I don't want to go too far in the future, but this is just, that quick vision that I get instantly. Like, I got a little nervous when I heard about this matchup. How about you, Ted? Are you all for this?
Who'd you get nervous for, Eddie?
I got nervous for Frankie Edgar. And, the title's right there. You had the title match, and now you're trying to save a card, but is it the smart thing to do?
I see what you're saying. I mean, you had to give props to Frankie Edgar. What a warrior, what a fighter. Yeah. Instead of kicking back, because we've seen fighters do that. Not mentioning any names, Tyron Woodley, but like I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna wait for my shot. No, Frankie Edgar said, no, screw that. I'm not gonna sit back. I'll take this guy out. And I'll just get him out of the way. I mean, that's probably what he's thinking. Like, look, I'm gonna fight. I'm already ready. I've already went through the camp, or I'm however many weeks into this camp.
That's so true.
It'd be stupid not to. I think a real fighter, a fighter's fighter, thinks this I haven't come this far to not fight.
This is true, but you know what the thing is, Ted? At this age, like you're just bringing up, it gets to the point where you lose a fight and you take 3 steps forward and 7 steps backwards sometimes. And at that age.
Well, there is that risk. I mean, if he loses to Ortega, he's going to be bumped down a bit. So there's that risk.
This is an exciting division. Let us know what you guys think on Twitter. Ted, what's going on in the chat room really quick? Any notable?
A lot of people here. We got Roz Storm. We got G-Man Mule. Orlando Castro says, I'm in Vegas drunk and watching Ted and Eddie.
Yes. Dude. All the places in the world, you're in the Sin City of the planet, and I'm so happy you're tuning in right here on Evil and Intoxicated. You're going Evil and Intoxicated in Vegas, so why not tune into the fucking show, right?
That's right. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, so G-Man Mule checking in. I am so damn awesome. Black is checking in. EPS Tomcat 11 is here. Super Paul BF.
The usual's checking in.
Luis Fernandez, Joker 305. He's calling you the Instagram model. What is going on, Eddie? Are you flexing on Instagram? And then I see you dyed your hair on the top there.
All right, hold on. First off, for everybody listening to the podcast that can't see, yes, my hair is blonde right now, but I didn't go into the freaking hood and go, guys, dye my hair blonde. No, I didn't walk into the Spanish barbershop and said that. It was purple for like 3 days before it washed out. I dyed it purple for the show to stick out. Go with the show, and washed right out.
So that's what you're left with.
So this is what I'm left with. This is what I'm working with, Ted. This is what I'm working with, you know?
Okay, all right. All right, man.
But you know what? I reached 500,000 people on Instagram, so I guess I am turning the Instagram model.
You have 500,000 followers.
Impressions. I wish 500,000 followers.
So you're how are you going about doing that? You're taking glamour shots or what?
100 friends this week though, which is pretty cool. I like how Instagram set up the business pages for people to check out like your analytics, like you can on YouTube. But
Right.
It's kind of like Twitter. Like usually in a month, if I'm lucky, I'll reach about 500,000 people. I did it in a week this week. So big things happen on Instagram, guys. Follow me at Pure Evil MMA. You can follow Ted too on his Instagram.
I gotta step up. This year
You
I
have
just
been.
step up my Twitter game, and I've done that.
Oh
And
yeah.
I will continue to do that, but yeah, likewise, I got to do that with Instagram as well.
But thanks for checking in the chat room, guys. Not trying to be a model at all, but ain't bad to look good. I'll tell you that much. Ain't bad to look good.
Do it. If you want to, you do the hair dyeing. Not my thing. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm excited about Ortega and Edgar. On the other hand, so then presumably I guess we could say that, you know, whoever wins that will fight Max next, right? I mean, I guess if Holloway's able to, what exactly did he do? It was something with his leg, right?
I'm not 100% positive. I'm not 100% positive. I can go check it out. I'm sure one of our listeners can tell us right now.
So, you know, you'd think, okay, the winner of Ortega and Edgar gets Holloway when he's rehabilitated, you know.
Also, Ted, a lot of fight announcements coming out this week. There was that cloud of the 3 title fights that we were probably going to see during International Fight Week, but it seems like maybe that's not going to happen as we find out that Chris Cyborg, another fight where I'm like, why are you taking this? What good is this going to do? Ted, I cannot pronounce this girl's name. I've seen her fight in Invicta, and I still have trouble pronouncing it. She's fought Tanya Evinger before in the past. She's been around for a while. I'm going to give this one to you to start with. Chris Cyborg gets her new opponent. Her name is...
Well, I've got 2 guesses. It's either Yana Kunitskaya or Yana Kunitskaya. We need somebody who's Russian, somebody who's Russian.
Sounds like the old...
That, but it's either one of the... I think it's either one of the other. It's either Kunitskaya or it's Kunitskaya. But I'm not sure which one it is. But anyway, let's just call her Yana.
I like that.
Right. It came out of nowhere. You know, I think a lot of people were like, who? Who the fuck is that? You know, she's 10-3. Yeah, she's fought in Invicta, but you know, generally unknown, and definitely not. I mean, first of all, didn't Dana White say it was pretty much a done deal? It was going to be Cyborg and Nunes.
Yeah.
I guess I was the fool because I believed him. You know.
Once again. Right? And you never believe the guy, Ted. You're the one that's always telling me first off.
But I thought it was as good as gold. I thought it was done. You know, because we thought it was going to be Stipe and, like you were talking about, International Fight Week. Stipe in DC.
Yeah.
DJ and Cyborg Nunes. We were led to believe that was going to happen. And lo and behold, it did not. Cyborg is fighting Yana Kunitskaya, and it's not even Megan Anderson, for God's sake. It's not even her.
You know, and that's what I said at the beginning of this. Like, what's the point in really setting this up? You just beat Holly Holm. What are you really going to gain? And the only thing that really comes to mind is that she's trying to solidify herself as a champion with title defenses. And I'm not taking anything away from her opponent, but it seems like the UFC is doing this a lot lately. If you watch last week's fights with Valentina and her opponent, do you think it's going to be the same kind of outcome with Cyborg and this new opponent, like Valentina and her opponent last weekend?
Like a big mismatch, a severe mismatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we heard talk of, I think it was at some point after. It was like a month or 2 ago. Remember Cyborg put up that, it was kind of a lengthy post on her website where she's saying, this is who I think I should fight. It's not Megan Anderson. And she rattled off a couple of names, and we were like, huh? Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
She rattled off a couple of names, and everybody was like, "Who are you talking about?" People who she thought were more deserving. And so to me, it sounds like she's trying to set up a number of cans so that she can keep her title. It's like it seems to be this is the way it is. The when you are chasing the title, you're hungry. When you get the title, you're well fed, and you want to stay that way. So you do everything you can as champ to retain your title, which would be maybe like your Tyron Woodley, you try to drag it out to 5 rounds and get a decision.
You don't want to fight Colby, but you'll fight Nate at a different weight class. Like, yeah.
Right. You'll do that, or you'll try to fight. You'll try to handpick your opponents, like Demetrius Johnson did with who was the last guy he fought? Ray Borg, right?
Ray Borg. Before that, yep.
Handpicked Ray Borg because he knew because he wanted that he wanted to beat Anderson Silva's record. So it seems like that's what champions are doing. They're not taking risks. Then you look at Stipe, and that guy is just he'll fight anybody. He's faced a murderer's row. Their doom and
Can I say one thing about that, Ted, really quick? Just a side note on the whole Stipe Francis thing. It was crazy seeing how many people were on the Stipe, the Francis Ngannou boat, and then immediately hopped off and started trashing him. I think that is so rude of so many people. Even though we did see some holes in Francis's game, there were just so many people that bashed Francis. I just thought that was so disrespectful. I can see Francis as a future champ, just not right now. But just how it's crazy how MMA fans jump on and off of boats. It's just crazy. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, that's the whole bandwagon mentality.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of that. Switching sports for just a second, a lot of people jumping on the. And I'm a New England fan, so are you. You used to live in New England. I used to, but jumping on the Philly bandwagon just because because yeah, so hated.
Every year,
everybody became a Philly fan overnight. Just because they were playing the Patriots. But yeah, we see that a lot. It is unfortunate. So hopefully, fighters are.
It's sports. That's sports for you, right?
Yeah. Hopefully they have a thick enough skin to understand, hey, you know what? There's still a core group of people that will support you through thick and thin, through the losses and the wins. Yeah, there are those fair weather fans, but there's still, yeah, there's still a core group of fans that support whatever fighter they like, no matter what.
Like Ann and Cowboy. Prime example.
Oh, yeah. And who else? Bisping. She loves Bisping, too.
So moving on, Ted, my last question before we leave the Cyborg ship is, is this going to be a first-round knockout? Because there have been a lot of people out there saying we've been seeing a more conserved Chris Cyborg. We haven't been seeing the, come out the gate like a bolt, like a Vitor Blitz or anything like we're used to with her, finishing girls within the first round.
She, you could see her probably dragging it out a little bit, and then afterwards saying, "Well, I wanted to give the fans a good show." Some fighters are concerned with that. They don't want to end the fight too quick because they want to give the fans their money's worth or whatever. But I don't know much about you. You say you've seen Kunitskaya fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen her fight before in Invicta. She's a tough girl, and here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about her, that she actually wanted to debut at 145 pounds in this weight division already. So it's not like, she's getting pulled out of the weeds, doing something that she didn't want to do. She wanted to go to 145 pounds. They offered her this. If you beat Chris Cyborg, people are going to respect you, right? But it goes one of two ways. It matters how it's done. You also have Nico Montano at the top there, which we're going to talk about in a second, who's not getting the respect, even though she's the champ, and beat Roxanne Modafferi, who's been a pioneer in WMMA for years and years. But my last point, Ted, I don't think it's going to be a first-round finish like people are expecting. Just because they don't know her name doesn't mean she's not talented. People who get into the UFC for a reason, unless you're CM Punk, I guess. But he got in for a reason. Might not be talent, but
a different reason. Yeah,
there was a reason.
Yeah. So no, Cyborg would be wise to not underestimate her, but and hopefully it's not a situation. Hopefully we get a ref that That's not a Mario Yamasaki kind of thing. I know everybody's jumping on the guy. I mean, I did, and I'll just say something about that. If that, the way people ask me about that, and I said, well, if you're watching a fight and you get kind of a sinking feeling in your gut, like that you start feeling uncomfortable, that to me, and it's different for different people. Everybody has like a different threshold, a different barometer for
something that triggers them. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's got a limit, and you go, okay, well that's not right. That should be stopped. So there was a point. I can't tell you exactly where it was, but there was a point at which I felt that way. Like, okay, you know what? It's enough. It should probably be stopped. But but it went on, and eventually, she won by she got the choke, right? She got the rear naked choke, and the tap.
2 taps.
2 taps. Okay, yeah. But so that was the other issue, was that he didn't see the first one. Yeah. Aside from just letting it go on and on, because it was like the numbers were crazy. It was like 300 and something strikes to like 3.
Yeah, I think you're right on point. Like, to 7 or something. Yeah.
Or 300 plus to like 3 strikes thrown by Priscilla. What's her last name? Cachoeira?
Your guess is as best as mine, Ted.
Cachoeira. Anyway, so hopefully it may look like a mismatch on paper, but hopefully we have a good ref, and hopefully it's a competitive fight at least.
Which reminds me, you just broke some news to me minutes ago before we went live streaming. Another fight that really came out of the blue with, Cyborg gets this fight immediately after her last within weeks, and now Valentina Shevchenko has a fight announcement. This was breaking news to me. I'm gonna let you break it to our audience here, Ted.
Oh, hell! What were we talking about?
Valentina Shevchenko has a new opponent.
Okay, Valentina Shevchenko. Oh, okay. So Dana White said she's going to be the one to challenge for the. She called out Nico Montano. It's Montano.
Yeah, Nico Montano.
Called out. Yeah, it's got the Enye. Yeah, so Nico Montano, not Montano. So she called her out, and he said that's. Well, again, don't believe his lies, but that's what he's saying at this point. That she's going to be Valentina Shevchenko is going to challenge Nico Montano for the title next, for the strawweight title. But you were saying that nobody is, or that there's a lot of people that are not giving Nico the respect that she deserves.
Yes, that's something I definitely want to point out. Just because you don't know her, yes, she was on the show, doesn't mean she's not a prime girl to be in the UFC. Maybe people don't think she should be champion yet, but she has the chance to prove that. And I'll tell you this, Ted, if she can even do somewhat good against Valentina Shevchenko, there's going to be a lot of people that gain respect, even if she does lose. This is her shot, though, and this is a tough opponent. To be UFC champion and then to have Valentina come up, which was the plan this whole time, right? That was pretty much the plan, to have Valentina come up. She announced it as soon as they announced this weight division. She was like, I'm going to drop down after she lost to Amanda, which was another very close fight. This is going to be a tough fight for Nico Montano. I want to back her here, but obviously I'm leaning towards Valentina. But the issue is we don't know that much about Nico. We know a lot about Valentina. She's a slow starter, builds her way up as the round goes on. Maybe if Nico comes out fast, she has a shot. But as far as I'm concerned right now, fans aren't backing her. I want to, but I just haven't seen enough. This is her shot here. What are your thoughts on the little that you know about Nico? Should she have the respect as a champion? She did beat Roxanne Modafferi. She did get through an entire season Ultimate Fighter against, there were some decently talented girls in there. Barb. She beat Barb Honchak. She beat Lauren Murphy. Like, those are 2 amazing fighters in the UFC and top of Invicta, one of the Invicta champions, even though she was returning after 2 years. Instant thoughts there on that, Ted, from just what you know.
Not too many people are familiar with Nico Montano. I mean, they constructed the entire division around the cast of The Ultimate Fighter, and generally speaking, when you get Ultimate Fighter contestants, they are not as well known. They're being pulled into the organization, and I think it was the first time that they ever had The Ultimate Fighter, and then from that show, is the mic okay there?
Yeah.
From that show, you had that was how you constructed the entire division. So I don't think people are just familiar with her. You know what I mean? But so I think it would be okay in that regard to allow it. Usually, I don't like it when fighters leapfrog over virtually an entire division to challenge. But I think in this case, Shevchenko, I think it would be okay. I think it would be warranted to do that because the other fighters are just pretty much most of them are inexperienced.
Well, here's the other thing, Ted. People are saying that Valentina shouldn't be just carried to the top either after her last performance against somebody that we barely know. Do you agree with them on that? Because I could understand the argument there, but Valentina's done a lot since coming to the UFC. She's beat some very talented fighters, and dropping down to a weight class where she should have been in the first place should grant her a spot number one contender.
Yeah, you got to look at the body of work, at her body of work as a whole, and now this now the person that she just fought, Priscilla. I mean, she actually was Valentina was smart about that because she really wasn't taking any chances. She didn't. Priscilla had like what four of her fights. She was 8-0 or 8 and I think she was 8-0, right?
I believe.
On paper, she looked good. On paper, she looked good at undefeated at 8-0 with like half of those wins coming by knockout or TKO. So Valentina, fairly quickly went for the takedown rather than standing up and trading with her. She kind of said, well, you know what, I'm going to go with my best chance here instead of engaging in a firefight with this girl. So she was not underestimating her opponent. But yeah, I think it was a mismatch. I do think it was a mismatch. But going back to my other point, yeah, you got to look at Valentina and her work as a whole, and also the lack of experience in the rest of the division, and so that's why I think, yeah, she should get the next shot.
Well, for those of you guys out there that haven't even seen the rankings for this division, it is all over the place. Doesn't make any sense at all. Girls who are on losing streaks are like in the top 5. It just really doesn't make sense. A lot of the girls from obviously that season Ultimate Fighter, but then you have like Paige Van Zandt thrown in there in like 5th, and Paige is like 1-4. She's like won one fight out of her last 4 fights. Somehow she's like top 10 in that weight division. It just doesn't make any sense. It needs to be structured a little better. And if you have somebody like Valentina, who should be fighting as a number one contender, in my mind, she's the number one contender in that division. So this fight does make sense to me. Nico has a lot to prove here. Can she do it is the question. We'll find out when that fight. When is that fight? A matter of fact.
Well, hold on. I can get you that answer in just a second here.
Because this news just broke today. It is the 8th of February.
I don't know that they've actually said it. This is from Damon Martin, the writer Damon Martin, and he says Dana White confirms Valentina Shevchenko will get the next title shot against flyweight champ Nico Montano, but it doesn't say when. It's just he's just so it hasn't really been signed. It's just from Dana White. So we really got to watch ourselves here because anything can happen.
Fool me once, we're on Fool Me 2,600.
Yeah, exactly. Saying she deserves the next title shot, and it's going to be ugly for that division with somebody like Shevchenko in it. So that's what he's saying. So believe it or don't believe it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Also, really quick, Ted, there's 2 fighters that I don't want to talk about, but find it necessary to, since they did make headlines this week. The first one being, I'll start with CM Punk. CM Punk making headlines once again. It's in the back of everyone's mind. And let me just rewind a minute. For everybody that hasn't been familiar with the CM Punk story in the UFC, maybe you're a new fan to MMA. Well, CM Punk obviously is a wrestler. Coming over, waited 2 years, right, Ted? He trained for 2 years getting ready for this UFC fight where we're like, all right, let's see what happens. It lasts, a minute and a half, and it's over. Yeah. I got behind him. Not many people did. I remember going back and forth with you. I got behind him saying, give him a second shot. He waited 2 years in training. Give him one more shot. But people don't want to see that for plenty of reasons. Obviously, he doesn't deserve it. Talent-wise, he's not a legit fighter. And I came up with this brilliant idea before I get any further. Why didn't they do it as like when you're at an MLB game, they have 7th inning stretch. They do like the mascots fighting each other. And,
they get crowd engagement, or they get all the mascots or foot race or whatever. Yeah,
do something like that with CM Punk, and maybe like Jason David Frank, the Blue Ranger from Power Rangers. He's been wanting this fight forever. But it was announced today, Ted, that there are rumors going around from Mike the True Jackson, the guy who had Mickey Gall in his debut.
Right.
He's most likely going to be fighting CM Punk. Those are the rumors. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, so Mike Jackson lost to Mickey Gall and CM Punk lost to Mickey Gall. So I guess that's who they figure should fight each other. That Mike Jackson is a worthy opponent for CM Punk, and that somebody that maybe he could do well against. I'm not saying he's going to win, but maybe. I always thought, my idea was, they have those feeder organizations on Fight Pass. I think I probably said this before, but, like Legacy and what
Titan
else?
FC.
Yeah. CM Punk should headline. He should main event one of those, a regional. He should main event a regional show on Fight Pass. And that's the way to do it. That will give him his last fight and give him the best chance of winning, because he'll be fighting somebody of a lower experience level and somebody he's got a good chance of beating. That's what I think. But no, they're going to stick him on a main card. It's not going to be main event or co-main event, but he's going to be on the main card of whatever. I guess it's UFC Chicago, which is that a pay-per-view?
I don't think it's a pay-per-view.
I thought it might have been 225.
It could be a pay-per-view, and it should be a pay-per-view if CM Punk's on it, because I'm sure they're trying to aim for people from WWE to come over to rent the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right?
See, guys like us, we don't want to see that fight, but there's a whole host of other people that do want to see that fight.
I'm interested in it. I'll watch it.
It's like a train wreck. You can't help but watch it.
Yeah.
But
here's the other thing, though, Ted. I know that there's a lot of people against it, but here's the good part to it that maybe people aren't remembering. At some point, we all started as fans in the sport, right? Me growing up, I was a huge fan of WWE. Somehow it transpired over to MMA in the long run of things, but it all started as the WWF fan, right? CM Punk is going to bring over a lot of fans. Like, a lot of my high school friends started watching UFC not because of the Ultimate Fighter, because Brock Lesnar was coming over to fight. Right. He's going to bring over an audience, and if you're a fighter on that card, instead of complaining, realize that you can be somebody's new favorite fighter. You know what I mean? You're bringing over a huge staple of fresh eyes, and you need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely WME, IMG. Well, the first time Punk fought, it was still owned by the Fertittas, right? I think.
Yes, 2000.
Yet. So yeah,
15.
Regardless of who the owner is, yeah, they're definitely going to take advantage of his popularity.
Or 2016, excuse me.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't. Yeah, I get it. We'll all be watching. We'll all be watching. More than anything, I just want to see if he's improved. On one level, you got to give the guy props.
What if he wins? Do you give him another fight? Like, what do you do? What do you do?
Because it just sounds like nobody's looking that far ahead. Like Dana White's just like, look, I said I'd give him one more, so I'm going to give him one more.
I like the guy. I'm going to give him one more, as Dana would say. I like the guy. He's a good guy.
You got to give CM Punk props for going through with it. You know what I mean? This was something that it seems to me like it strikes me as he wanted to cross it off the bucket list. He wanted to get in at least one MMA fight, pro MMA fight in his lifetime, and he did it. And now it's the second one, so he can maybe redeem himself from the first. Props to the guy for that. You know what I mean? He's doing a hell of a lot more. I've never been inside a cage. You know what I'm saying? So I got to give him props for that. Hey, you mind if we look at the chat room?
Yes.
Hey, it's going well here.
One thing, closing thought on CM Punk.
Sure.
Every fighter that I've talked to that has trained with CM Punk, like Bilal Muhammad, has nothing but nice things to say, and do think that he deserves a chance. So let's see what happens. All right, Ted, what's going on in the chat room?
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so our friend Belvin Flipmunk checking in. He said UFC should start selling canned squash because Valentina just sampled some.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Perhaps.
Darren Batten says Shevchenko destroys any flyweight, so she's just gonna rule that
I
division.
can see that. I can see that for sure.
Uh,
Look at that. She just took on a tank and Amanda Nunes, and a huge majority of fans think that Valentina won that fight. You know?
Orlando Castro is eating carne asada fries.
I love it. Whatever that is, it sounds good because I'm a huge French fry fan.
Carne is meat. Carne is meat. Asada, I don't know what asada is. Isaac's fake news says, tell Eddie he finally got his shit together to do the podcast.
Yeah, I told you. I had so many people reaching out saying, you guys got to get back together.
It's not entirely your fault, and we just haven't been able to connect. It's half my fault.
Oh, you know what? Just a quick update, Ted. Me and Angie Jabs got back together. We're not living together, but we got back together, working things out. After 5 years of being together, why not work things out? And going through some moving changes and stuff like that. Loving 2018, man. I have great vibes in 2018. Big momentum here.
Good news. So Mike LaValle's checking in. Mike, I like to call him Mike the hair farmer because he grows his hair out real long. Mike the hair farmer LaValle. Let's see. Orlando Castro again. Darren Till will be the welterweight and middleweight champion. Mark my words. That's what Orlando's saying.
Ted, you remember
champion.
Weeks ago, I was like, I had my buddy over, never watched MMA fights before in his life, and he was all about this one fight. I couldn't remember who it was. It was Darren Till, one of his first fights. It was Darren Till versus another young gun, where it was just back and forth. And it dawned on me earlier today when I rewatched it, and I couldn't remember a Darren Till fight for the hell of me. You know what? He's a young man that is just full of power, and he has such swagger to him inside the octagon. Kind of like Conor McGregor. He kind of has that Conor McGregor long stance, that wide Gunnar Nelson stance.
Well, he's a Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
He's got like 50 Muay Thai fights under his belt, and he also has lived in Brazil. You got to look up.
Grew up there.
What's that?
He grew up there. He left school at a young age and grew up there.
That's insane. Yeah, because he's fluent. Like there's videos out there of him teaching Muay Thai, speaking Portuguese.
Yeah, he's legit, man.
But they spit. It's the native language of Brazil. It's really cool to hear that. But then he when he speaks with an English accent, right? When he speaks English.
I cannot wait to see what's next for him. Big things coming for Darren Till. 100% agree. Who was that just said that, matter of fact?
I was talking about Darren Till.
Yeah.
I believe that was Orlando Castro. Yeah, that's Orlando Castro.
What did it say? He can be champion what division?
Welterweight and middleweight. Because you hear Darren Till talk. What does he say? He says, "Oh, I'm a light heavyweight, but I fight at welterweight." And so he could probably do middleweight.
Does this bother you now, Ted? That people are doing this, like everyone's champion jumping to another weight division? I mean, this is a good segue for the next fight announcement. Stipe Miocic versus DC. Are you liking this? Are you liking the champs jumping up to fight in these super fights? Are you liking people jumping divisions like this?
I mean, on one hand, it does make things exciting, right?
Is that all we have left, though? Is that the only thing that's going to excite us anymore?
We've seen this with boxing. I mean, Floyd Mayweather was champ in like 5 or 6 different divisions. But actually, I mean, you can go back further you can go back to Kenny Flory, and he started at 185, then he fought at 170, 155, and 145. He fought in 4 different divisions. Champ of none. But I think it's the natural progression. I mean, look, who was the guy? Oh my God, he called himself the Truth. Now I can't remember his name, but he fought at light heavyweight and heavyweight, and he said he was going to be champ of both, and I was like, nah, dude, I don't think so. But fighters have been thinking about this. It's something that I think a lot of fighters think about.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandon Vera. It was Brandon Vera. I remember when Brandon Vera made his debut in the UFC. I think it was after he, won his first fight. He's like, I'm going to be champ in both. I'm going to be champ in, light heavyweight and heavyweight. And I'm like, you're not the guy. There might be somebody, but you're not the guy.
Do you think that the UFC and Dana White's doing this because they're trying to downplay how special Conor McGregor is and fear that Conor McGregor is going to leave? Like, are you looking at, like, of course, Conor, if he leaves for boxing, he's still going to be carrying around those 2 UFC belts. He's still going to be saying, I'm the 2-division champion. Do you think that they're making these to kind of downplay what Conor has done, or do you just think that this is a new era like we've been talking about for a year now? This is the money era, the WME IMG era. Is this just how things are going to go for now on?
Well, I mean, Conor can always say that he was the first.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can lay claim to that but him. He was the first.
And did it in Madison Square Garden.
Right. Did it in the most famous combat sports arena in the world. So, no one can take that away. I'm trying to think. I think in the case of Stipe Miocic and DC, at the time I thought it was because there was that rivalry, there was that bad blood going on between Dana White and Stipe, and so I likened it to a bounty. So Dana White put a bounty on Stipe Miocic. Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. Bring me the head of Stipe Miocic. So that's what. So and DC fought on the same card and beat Ozdemir. So then. And Dana White, and seeing how good DC, how well he did, knowing that he used to fight at heavyweight, knowing that he's got the wrestling chops and the chin and everything else. So like, oh, there's my guy, there's my bounty hunter, there's my Boba Fett that's gonna get this guy that I hate, Stipe Miocic. But apparently they kind of patched things up a bit, from what I hear. Dana White and Miocic.
Stipe, I mentioned it on episode 66 of Pure Evil MMA. Stipe needs to realize that the UFC, the way that they're going to sell these pay-per-views, the way that you're going to make these pay-per-view points, is by pumping up your opponent, by convincing the audience that your opponent has a great chance of going in there and dethroning you. And the UFC did a great job with promoting that. And I think afterwards, a reason why a lot of the fans jumped off of Francis' ship is because a lot of it seemed like it was bullshit because Stipe just kind of manhandled him, and it wasn't built up to what people expected it. I mean, amazing first round and all, but I think that had a lot to do with it. But you know what, Ted? I'm excited to see DC versus Stipe. They're doing it on a season Ultimate Fighter, which is a little weird. It's a different era for Ultimate Fighter. What was that?
Why do you think it's weird?
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think that the UFC should be even... The UFC and the Ultimate Fighter has been getting the worst ratings in its entire life. Like, the last couple of seasons, just getting lower and lower and lower. You have somebody like Stipe, who's not really good in front of the camera. I mean, he's good with pranks and stuff like that. We can look forward to that. People can kind of humanize with him because he's a firefighter and stuff like that. But besides that, if you put a camera in front of him, I can't really see him doing much entertaining. What fighters are going to be on this season? Apparently, it's going to be featherweights. I don't know. I'm kind of falling off. And I'm a huge fan of Ultimate Fighter. I watch every season no matter what. I don't know. I'm more interested in the fight than I am of this season,
Wow. See, I was saying that this was gonna be the
turnaround.
This is gonna be the turn. This is gonna be the season.
What are your reasons? I want to hear it. Maybe you can change my mind here.
I mean, I've been seeing clips of Stipe and Cormier. This is gonna be like a buddy movie. This is gonna be because they really have such great respect for each other. So if there are going to be pranks or if there's going to be trash talk, it's going to be...
The chemistry's there. The chemistry's definitely there.
They got the chemistry. So it's going to be in good fun. It's going to be just pure competitiveness. It's not going to be with any hatred, any malice involved. Now, the other one I wanted to see, my number one choice, because I didn't even see this. This was totally off my radar. I couldn't even fathom it. I never envisioned it, but what I wanted to see was Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington, because that was going to get down and dirty. Yeah. That was gonna get ruthless, and that's what I wanted to see, and that's ratings gold right there, in my opinion. Those two guys just jawing at each other, yelling at each other, doing like nasty pranks, that definitely involve alcohol and poop.
You know what, Ted? I had a lot of people calling me out because I said that Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley was going to be that season Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, that fell through. Tyron did not want to do that season. But yeah, he wants to fight Nate Diaz. Like, Dude, fight the number one contender. I understand he's fought the past couple number one contenders. He's been wanting that big money fight. Nate Diaz is not the big money fight, in my opinion.
You don't think so? You don't think so?
I think the Colby Covington story was perfect. It was perfect. You had so many people that really hate Colby, right? I think you could have drawn a good audience from that.
Right here, Isaac says, "I just want Woodley to knock him the fuck out."
You see, and
there's a lot of people like that. But then you got people like Darren Batten saying, "Heck, Tyron's ducking everybody." So I mean, yeah, they are polarizing figures. You know, they're either you love one and hate the other, or the reverse of that, vice versa.
I mean, I give him this, like I just said, Ted. With Woodley, it's, his last two opponents have been number one contenders, Damian Maia and Wonderboy. They haven't been fun, but those were the guys who actually deserved it. Something that we really haven't seen in the UFC for a little bit now. The number one contender actually getting a title shot. It happened. So Tyrone, he wants his money fight. I understand that, but the Colby Covington story was gold. He should have ran with that. It's a loss on his end.
Well, I mean, actually, I'm kind of relieved because I don't think Covington's quite ready yet.
Yeah.
His striking against Maia, he's got some serious striking.
Maia was piecing him up. I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
There was two things that I noticed about it. I have to go back and listen to what I said, but I mean, there was one, his striking. He's got striking issues. I mean, the wrestling's on point. It's probably on a par with Woodley's. So he should just take the wrestling, set it aside, and say, I'm going to focus on my striking. Hopefully he is. Hopefully that's what he's doing. He's taking my advice because, I know.
So Colby versus RDA?
So what's that?
Colby versus RDA?
Well, I mean, isn't Dana White, Dana White, don't believe his lies, but Dana White, isn't he saying RDA is going to fight Woodley? Because he's saying that the Nate Diaz fight it's not going to happen.
That's the rumor, and I really hear that that's what they're trying to push for to actually set right now. So we'll see what happens with that, but nothing official yet.
Right. I mean, but I did tweet out today. I said, yeah, okay, so Dana White's saying that's not going to happen. Watch, next week he's going to announce it.
Yep.
He's going to announce Nate Diaz. He's going to just turn right around. And what people do is people are so excited about whatever the announcement is, they forget about the lie. You forget about, didn't he say that it wasn't going to happen?
I thought he said that there was no way Brock Lesnar was going to be at UFC 200, right?
You forget about the lie because you're so excited about whatever the announcement is, So it wouldn't surprise me if next week we hear, Woodley and Diaz. But I mean, that to me, that's the money fight that's available. I mean, GSP ran off to Canada. Nick Diaz, who knows? Connor's not fighting. So who else is like a big name that? Bisping. Woodley wanted to fight Bisping. Bisping is looking for a retirement fight against an older fighter, like Machida.
Yes.
So Nate Diaz is the only available money fight, in my opinion.
But he's not even in that weight division, really.
Well, he's fought at 170.
He has, but does he deserve a title at that weight division? No.
Does he deserve it? No. But
no.
Are they gonna sign it? Probably, because it brings
the WME IMG era, right?
Puts asses in the seats.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy time we're getting to right now, Ted. Definitely, they're turning it into a coloring book. It seems like turning our sport into a coloring book. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know what to think of all this. Hopefully, in the long run, we'll pick up a lot of fans like they're aiming for, and things will get back to normal and finally function on that train again, where number one contenders and people who actually deserve their title shots actually get them. But for right now, it just seems like champs versus champ, money fights, and everyone's trying to be Conor McGregor, I guess. Conor McGregor opened up that late. So more power to the fighters. Maybe this will get them more money like they definitely deserve.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the silver lining in all this. That's the positive that we can get out of it, But Orlando Castro saying none of the Diaz brothers deserve title fights, period. They need to fight and stop bitching.
I'm going to agree with that.
Orlando's saying.
Not active. You need to be active to get your title shot.
Right. And then we got Mike LaValle. He's got a new name for Colby. He's calling him Cuntington. Cuntington swings like a gorilla in heat. Any decent striker will take him apart. See, that's why I'm hoping. I mean, fighters can make improvements. There's no doubt about it. Fighters, I mean, especially when you're training 2-3 times a day, you can make, and you set your mind to it, you can make improvements. Now, I maybe shouldn't use the, well, I mean, take a lot of these guys that were wrestlers who then developed,
Johnny Hendricks, developing the hand power.
Right. I mean, from Woodley to Johnny Hendricks.
Woodley, yeah.
Josh Koscheck, a number of these guys that were top collegiate wrestlers with no striking experience, and suddenly they're knocking fools out. So it can happen. He can get better. So that's why I'm happy that he doesn't have that fight just yet. Who knows? Maybe they'll sign like RDA versus. RDA doesn't want Wonder Boy. How about RDA versus Till?
I would love to see that. That's interesting. I would like to see that fight. I would. Is it too soon? I don't know. Are we going to see a Yair Frankie Edgar out of it? I don't know. We have to see. Till taking out Cowboy the way he did, and I know that he kind of followed the blueprint of blitzing, going out fast, and just really shocking Cowboy. But I think he has what it takes to be at the top 5 in that division this year. I got to agree. Ted, moving forward, what else is going on in the chat room? I don't want to cut anyone off.
Yeah, so that was, let's see here. Orlando says, I want Darren Till to light up one of the Diaz brothers. See what else we got here. Darren Batten, I said before that fight, that Ngannou didn't have good technique. So, heavy hands, but hits like a Toyota Corolla or a Ford Escort.
Yeah. And I hope that you won money that night. I hope that you put a bet on Francis, because you would have won a good amount on DraftKings.
I'm not a betting man, but yeah, that's right, because he was the favorite, right?
Yeah, the top favorite on DraftKings. Ted, Stipe Miocic was the cheapest fighter you can buy on your card, so it was that big of an underdog. It's crazy.
What you were talking about champs fighting number 1 contenders. I mean, Ngannou was the number 1 contender. Stipe fought him. Before that, wasn't Overeem the number 1 contender?
Yep, 100%.
So, I mean, somebody was asking me last night, hey, Ted, who are the shittiest UFC champs right now? And I said, well, number 1 is Conor. He's the worst UFC champ right now, defend or vacate. He's number 1. And then I think I put Woodley at number 2.
Well, what about Montano, Nico? Just because she's just the new girl. She's,
That's why I didn't, because she's unproven, so I didn't want to put her in that category.
Kudos to you then. Kudos to you.
As a bad champ, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Belvin says Stipe got a home show in Ohio, plenty of promos, including a trip to Croatia with Mirko, a tough season, favorable matchups. They all are except Kane. So but you know what? I'm not sure what Belvin is replying to.
Big shout out to Belvin, by the way. He came in as our member of the week last week for Pure Evil MMA, just because of what he does on Twitter. I love the discussion threads that he's posting. So you guys listen to the podcast or watching the video cast, I would definitely go follow Belvin Flipmonk on Twitter. I believe it is what it sounds like, Belvin Flipmonk, right?
Belvin Flipmonk, yeah. It's like Melvin Chipmunk or whatever.
I love people who engage in MMA discussion. If you're on Twitter and you do MMA discussion, you have a shot of a shout out, and Belvin's definitely deserving of it, because I like the forums that he's shooting out, like the Brendan Schaub thing that got people going this week. Good job over there, Belvin.
It's a real polarizing thing right there. Yeah. I mean, and for those who don't know, so Brendan Schaub was commenting on what he called the all black panel on Fox Sports 1. And that was Eve Edwards, Tyron Woodley, and Karen Bryant. Although Karen Bryant is light skinned, so she might be, she might have some white in her. I don't know. But anyway, he called it the all black panel, and he was saying, "Look, we get it, Fox Sports 1, we get it. You're multicultural or whatever." But I think it was just he thought that they did it on purpose. I don't think that was really the case. I think it was just the luck of the draw. That was who was available tonight. They have a larger stable to choose from. They've got Dominic Cruz. They've got they've got other people on that in that right. They've got a larger talent pool.
Yeah.
It just so happened that Eve Edwards and Tyron Woodley and Karen Bryant were available that night. But Belvin Flipmonk was the one who took that from Sherdog and blasted it out on Twitter and got people talking about it there.
Yeah, people were going crazy for it.
What's your take on all that, Eddie?
Even though Brendan said it, I mean, you don't want to shoot the messenger, really. I understand it offended a lot of people. It offended me at first, but really, like, I remember my stepfather at the fire department missed out on a job as like captain or something because he scored higher than one of the Spanish people or a different race and didn't get the job because they needed to fill the position with someone else in the melting pot, really. So there is truth behind stuff like that, but unfortunately I wish the world wasn't like that. But there is some truth behind what Brandon had to say, whether people like it or not, and I think people need to realize that, don't shoot the messenger there because there is truth behind that. And if you want that to change, then you need to be more like me and not look at people with, by their skin color. I really don't look at people. I don't know if it's because I grew up in the city as one of the only white kids around, but I just don't look at race like that. I don't know. I never felt out of place or anything like that. I never looked at anybody like that. And I didn't even realize that Brandon Schaub was making the point, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that everyone on that panel is black. Kara, Yves, Woodley, like it didn't even, like I didn't even think about that. Like it's not even on my mind,
Yeah,
I would have noticed.
As people.
Yeah.
There's people.
Exactly, and they're definitely qualified. They're fighters. There might be beef on Kara, but I love Kara. She has a great personality. She's spunky, and I don't think she got the job because of her race or anything. But there is a truth behind it. There is, unfortunately.
She used to be an MTV VJ, Karen Bryant, way back in the. I think that's where she got her start. Was on MTV.
Everyone really gives her beef because of that whole Ronda Rousey incident where she was on side of the cage or whatever, and Ronda was going to hug fans. Kara thought that she was going to hug her, so she like wraps her arms around her all awkwardly. You remember that or no?
I haven't seen that one. I remember. I thought the biggest thing with her was when Rampage gave her the motorboat.
Rampage does that to every female reporter, it seems.
But Karen Bryant's husband is the cameraman.
Ooh.
He filmed the whole thing, so he got cucked. But
an actual cuck situation.
When she does her other stuff, when she does her MMA heat.
Yeah.
When she
her and Alan.
She's not doing FS1. When she's doing MMA heat, he's the camera guy. Wade Eck is his name.
Oh, I know Wade. He follows me on Twitter. Here's Squirt.
Yeah, that's her husband.
Squirt saying hi, everybody.
Oh, so I was wondering. I mean, now you're back with Angie, but when you guys weren't, who got the rats? Did you get the rats, or did she get the rats?
I got most of them. She got 2 more baby ones, matter of fact. So she has the 2 baby ones. I have the other ones. But really sad news, guys. Ted, I don't even think I told you. My very first pet rat, my longtime listeners know, Peanut. She used to actually be on like the original like episode 3, 4, and 5, just like on my shoulder chilling while I did MMA news. I recently last week had to put her down because she had a really big tumor. She was happy, she was eating, but time was right. I really had to put her down before it got worse. And so last week was a tough week. Another reason why I wasn't around.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Eddie.
Yeah, you guys remember Peanut. She was the very first rat that I got and really started this whole spiral of snowball effect of ending up with like 10 rats. But all goes back to Peanut, man. So thank you guys for all the support, Ted. I got like my timeline was blown up from people supporting, just wishing me sincere, wishing well, because it does mean a lot, even just feel better or whatever. So I really thank you guys for that. But moving on here, Ted, with all these champ versus champ fights, I don't know. I'm just not into this whole Stipe DC Ultimate Fighter thing.
No, you're not into it. I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be different. It'll be a different refreshing take on it because we had the last one I watched, at least. I think there's been at least one more since then, or maybe two. Was T.J. Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt.
That was a great season, the redemption season.
That was the redemption season. Yep. I mean, well, geez. I mean, Jesse. What's his last name there? Jesse won the whole thing, and then he got busted for steroids.
Yeah.
I can't. Why? I can't think of his last name. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. He fought Diego. He fought Diego Lima, and he ended up losing it. And was rooting for him the entire time.
Sandeep Singh checking in and saying Taylor, Jesse Taylor.
Yeah, Jesse Taylor. Second time he blew it.
What a great redemption story. But what I was getting at was, we had that whole TJ versus Team Alpha Male thing going on there, and this is going to be totally different. This is going to be, like I said, two buddies, who are going to throw down at the end of this thing, but they're going to have a hell of a fun time in between. So it's just a refreshing take on the whole thing. Misha, Orlando's saying Misha, Karate Hottie, Carolina, Gina Carano, Joanna, rate 1 through 5.
All right, let's do this. One more time, go through it.
Okay, Misha Tate, Karate Hottie. Let's write these down. Oh, I just lost the. Hold on.
5 being the hottest, right? Or most attractive, I should say.
Shit, where'd it go? Sorry, my chat is.
Here, I'll get it.
It was Misha, Karate Hottie, Gina Carano.
Oh, guys, by the way, 40 minutes ago, Roy Jones Jr. was headed to the ring. It's on UFC Fight Pass. I'm not sure of the update on who won yet, but his last fight though.
All right, Misha, Karate Hottie. I got to do this quick because I'm gonna lose it again. Misha, Karate Hottie, Carolina, Gina Carano, and Joanna. I got to write these down. And Joanna. Okay. So rate 1 through 5. So it sounds like he's saying 1 is the top.
Here, yeah, I'm pulling up our chat room right now.
1 is number 1. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll say that number 1 is whoever we give the number 1 to. That's your top girl.
All right, one more time.
All right, Misha Tate, Michelle Watterson, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Gina Carano, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Oh, shit. Gina Carano, number 1.
Yep.
Duh. Right?
Yeah.
Number 2.
I'm going Misha, number 2.
I agree. Definitely.
Karate Hottie is 3. Carolina 4. Joanna's 5. That's the way I'm going, at least.
Ted, 100% down with that.
Yep.
100%. Why throw Joanna in there, though? Like, Joanna, she's pretty in her own right.
Yeah, but you could put...
Hey, beauty fades, personality is for a lifetime, right?
Personality goes a long way.
There you go.
Right? That's
what my mama told me.
That's from Pulp Fiction. Personality goes a long way. But anyway,
Tornado.
You could put Rose Namajunas, long-haired Rose Namajunas in there.
Catch up. Yeah, why not Rose Namajunas? Yeah, catch up.
I got to specify long-haired Rose Namajunas, not this.
No. Not for Evil Eddie. Not for Evil Eddie, man. I want that G.I. Jane look, man.
No G.I. Jane, yeah.
I want that whips and chains look. That's what I want.
Anyway, so...
Not many girls can handle coming to a bachelor pad with rats running around, man. But I know Rose could. Especially G.I. Jane Rose. Come on.
Oh, and Sandeep is saying, what about... not forget PVZ. Paige Van Zandt.
Was she not on that list? Oh, no. She was not on that list.
5-0.
Here's the thing with Paige Van Zandt. She is pretty, but, like, she's a weird kind of pretty. You know what I mean? She's like that 4th grade crush pretty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Darren Batten had the same thing as us. Number 1, Gina. Number 2, Misha. 3, Karate Hottie. 4, Carolina. 5, Joanna. Yeah, that
rumors of Gina returning. Have you heard this? I mean, we hear it every other year.
I was just watching Deadpool last night.
Oh, no shit.
Although she was kind of butchy in that.
It don't matter. It's Gina Carano.
Angry Rosie O'Donnell in that movie.
Oh.
Well, that's what Deadpool said. That's what he called
her. Yeah, moving forward though here, let's get the ball rolling on this next topic here with Floyd Mayweather, Ted. I know that I want to just get it out of the way. I know that people have been talking about it. So just want to quickly brush up on it. Floyd Mayweather, is he going to fight in the UFC, or is he just pulling our leg? Is he just trying to get noticed? What's your take on it, Ted? Because for me, it really seems like I would have been more down with this if they didn't do the boxing fight first. If you take the whole Maymac one away with Conor going to box, I would have been down for Floyd to come over to the octagon. What's your take on this? Is he coming? What's your take?
No, I don't think he ever will. I don't think he has the balls. He filmed a couple of Instagram videos where he steps into a cage. That's a load of bullshit. He will never ever do it. He doesn't have the stones, man. Yeah, I mean, look at what Conor did. I mean, yeah, did Conor lose? Absolutely, he lost. He got TKO'd. Okay, fine. But he went to Floyd's backyard. He played by Floyd's rules. Boxing ring, boxing gloves, the whole, didn't try to stipulate, let's make it a kickboxing bout, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't try to play any of that, like Floyd's been saying shit like, oh, I'll fight somebody, but no submissions, takedowns.
The video of him walking into the octagon was just so funny. It was just so weird and funny.
Yeah, then it's well, if you're gonna stipulate shit like that, if you're gonna take away, then it's not MMA. So, Conor went into your backyard, but you don't have the sack to come into MMA's backyard. I don't. He's just an attention whore. He'll never do it.
I would like to see it happen, though. Would you like to see it happen?
That would be, as big a fight as Maymac won. Except this time the UFC gets the upper hand instead of giving signing away all the rights to Showtime. They kind of rolled over for Showtime and let them run things. Now this time, UFC gets the upper hand.
And can we shut all this talk with, have him fight CM Punk? What the fuck? What are you guys talking about?
That's dumb. No.
Let's be real. Let's be real and talk about, actual things. I know that the UFC's got you all crazy with these champ versus champ fights, but CM Punk versus Mayweather would go in there, run circles around him. He's an amazing boxer. Right. I mean...
Yeah, we need somebody in there we need somebody that's a good grappler. I mean, somebody who's got striking skills, but we need somebody who has serious grappling chops as well. Like Floyd needs. Look, I'll just say this: Floyd needs to be embarrassed. Okay, he needs to be shown what MMA really is.
What about Mighty Mouse? Mighty Mouse was stepping up to it. I thought that was perfect.
Mighty Mouse would be good, but if you're going to talk like Floyd, doesn't he fight anywhere between 150, 155? So if you're talking 155ers, I'd say Khabib Nurmagomedov, Tony Ferguson, or Nate Diaz.
Well, Mighty Mouse said he'd go up.
He did. That's true. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I was into that, and Mighty Mouse is a great grappler, and that might, despite Mighty Mouse's great run, maybe that would be the most enticing to Floyd because he's such a small dude, and Floyd might be like, I'm so much bigger than him, whatever. Okay, so yeah, throw Mighty Mouse in there as well, but somebody who's got serious, like when James Toney said he could take on anybody in the octagon, Dana White's like, okay.
Here's Randy Couture.
And gave him Randy Couture, and Couture took.
Boom.
That was it. So that's what Floyd needs. Floyd needs to be embarrassed.
I'll never forget those backstage interviews with him too, and Dana, and him just trying to set that all up, and they finally did it. Just a mess. It was just an absolute mess. Probably will happen again, but I think it's fair for us to see that happen. I mean, like you said, Conor went over there. You should man up and come over here. I mean, let me give Mayweather this. I thought it was really cool on Fight Week. They were like, all right, let's drop the glove weight. Thought that was pretty cool of Mayweather, whether it worked for him or against him.
Yeah.
He did give Conor that. He gave Conor that.
Right. I thought from the jump it should have been. I mean, like I said, props to Conor for going straight boxing. They could have tried to make it a kickboxing match where, kicks, knees, elbows, clinches were all that was allowed. That would have been, to me, a little bit more even-handed, and the advantage would not have been so skewed towards Floyd. But whatever. I just don't think I'd love to see the fight. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
And if it does, I'll watch it. I'll tell you that much. But I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, I don't want to talk about it much more, but I'm not going to complain about it. If it happens, it happens. The CM Punk thing, if it happens, it has its benefits and it has its cons, right? Like most things in life. Right. But I would definitely be entertained to watch that fight. We'll see what happens. Let us know what you guys think about this on Twitter at Evil_Echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. And at Ted Check at TEDCZ. ECH. All right, so moving forward, Ted, we got fights upcoming this weekend. Is there any last things that you want to just quickly brush through? Anything that we missed, forgot to talk about?
Concerning the UFC 221. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about Yoel versus Rockhold to end the show off.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just check Reddit. I always like to go to Reddit. I find a lot of information out on that one. Well, they're saying Rustam Khabilov is off the UFC London card due to injury. What about Bisping versus Lyoto Machida? Bisping says that that fight interests him. He says it ticks off all the boxes, meaning that it's a fighter who is also old like him, let's face it, the Geritol posse, and also a former champion like he is. So that's the kind of fights that Bisping should be fighting. Personally, I thought he should be fighting Vitor instead, because if he's truly on his revenge tour, he got revenge on Henderson and he got revenge on Rockhold. Yeah. So then, of course, another guy he has some payback. He owes payback to. But he said he's not interested in the Vitor fight. But he does like Lyoto, and Lyoto called him out after Lyoto beat Eric Anders. He called Bisping on. You're shaking your head, right? You don't like that fight.
I don't like any of these fights when it comes to they're even talking about Rashad as well, throwing Rashad in there.
Right.
I don't want to see any of these guys on their last fight each go out fighting each other, and one guy has to lose. I at least want it to be fair. Like, all right, if you're gonna retire, fight somebody like somebody that's not going to retire on the same night. I want to root for Bisping on the night that he's retired. I want to root for Uriah Faber the night he retires. I want to root for Brad Pickett the night he retires, whether he wins or loses. At least if I just don't like it. I'm not into it, Ted. I'm not into it.
So you couldn't possibly root for Bisping if he was fighting Lyoto because you like them both.
I want them both to win. You want to root for the guy who it's their last fight. It's already a sign of weakness, right? Like, it's their last fight. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not into it. I'm not into retirement versus retirement fight. It makes sense with the age and where they're at in their career. I understand all that, but I don't know. There's other fights in there. Both guys are well known. I understand that. I just don't like the whole retirement clash.
Well, I guess it's like, if Bisping fights, like, say, a young gun. If he fights an up and comer, there's a chance that up and comer is
Don't do that.
Don't do that either.
Like Yair versus BJ. That was a horrible idea.
So what's left? See, so if you get a young gun versus an old dude, then the young gun, if you would like the old guy to have a good chance of winning.
I still want to see Bisping versus Yoel. Now, whether Yoel wins or loses, I still want to see Bisping. Hopefully he'll lose, and then maybe he'll get down with the whole Bisping thing again. Because that storyline, Ted, I was on board. The whole burning the flags and all that. I was hyped.
That you want to see?
Yeah, I want more of that. I love you, Michael.
I love you, Michael.
I don't want much more of that. Give me more of that. No more burning flags and stuff. But the little
that got a little too much.
The burning flag things I'm against, but the videos of Yoel and the guys dancing in the background and stuff, like, I was all about it.
Hey, hold on one second. The wife's calling me. This ought to be good. Hello. Hey, you want to say hi to the people?
It's like Stipe's wife.
What?
You got to come do the dishes. She wants you to do the dishes.
Do I have to do the dishes now? Hello? Ah, she hung up on me. She did the Stipe on me. She hung up on me.
She did that. She's going to call back. I got something really important. Click.
She actually did say she has something to talk to me about. So.
Yo. Oh, God. That's not a good sign, Ted. That's not a good sign.
Shall we?
Like Jimmy Smith would say, when your girlfriend says it's time to talk, it's not like she wants to say, you know, I think I should give you more blowjobs.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with that. Not something good.
Never.
Right? Never that. It can never be. But yeah, I'm not into this whole retirement versus retirement fight. Lyoto Bisping, I see a lot of people on board for it, Ted. I'm just not there. I'm not there. Maybe you can sell me on it. Why is this a good idea? Why is everybody behind this?
Because it's two well-known opponents, and they're equal or relatively equal as far as where they are in their careers. So either one of them has a good chance of winning. You could put them up against.
Do it in London or Brazil? Because Big wants it in London, right? But Lyoto would probably want it in Brazil.
Oh, see, yeah. Sorry, I'm still embroiled in this thing here.
Oh, I don't blame you. Let's figure out. You should figure out what it is.
Hold on. It has to do with my son too. I said, give me 10 minutes. Yeah. All right. Let's go. We got 10 minutes.
All right. We got 10 minutes. Closing thought. Are they going to book this fight? Yes or no?
Oh, Bisping and Lyoto? I'll go with yes.
Yeah? All right, we'll see what happens. It seems like they're both down for it. So we'll see. When both fighters both agree on it, it still doesn't mean shit, right? Still doesn't mean, even when Dana announces it, still doesn't mean much, but no official announcement yet. But that gets us into this weekend's fights, which is going to make it interesting if you're rooting for Yoel versus Bisping for the last fight. I want that story to still climb. I still want to see that matchup. I loved it all. So this weekend, let's take a look at our card, Ted. I'm going to pull it up for our video cast. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to UFC.com or check it out on Twitter. I'll tweet out the card for everybody right after I wrap up the show. Let's pull up this weekend's fight card for UFC 221. And the big deal with this, Ted, is, damn, how well are they going to do with sales? Because what's really intriguing about this fight? I mean, it's not really a title fight. There's not really even many big names on the card. Doesn't mean there's not good talent on the card. But is this going to pull in the numbers that they need?
UFC 221? No, because they're missing Whitaker, and the lack of talent, lack of well-known fighters. I mean, they've got good fighters. They're going to get a good gate because they have Mark Hunt and they have Tyson Pedro and a couple other guys from Australia, right? So they're gonna fill the arena, but I don't think they're gonna get good pay-per-view numbers. I think a lot of people are like, no way am I gonna pay. Wait. The last one was 65. Are they gonna keep the 65 or are they going back down to 60?
Isn't this ridiculous? That's a lot of money to be asking for people for cards like this, especially. Let me bring this one point up really quick, Ted. They were originally going to do this fight for free for us. Twice they tried booking Yoel versus Rockhold, and it was supposed to be on a Fox card or FS1. Now they're charging us for it. It's not like Rockhold's the champ, and it's not like Yoel's fighting for the championship.
So they're not doing...
It's interim. It's interim. It's for the interim title. But we all know that's bullshit, right? We know this, right?
People hate that too. I mean, I don't know why is it necessary to do interim, because they could just say, well, they're fighting for the number one contender spot, and then when Whitaker is healthy, and matter of fact, he's made leaps and bounds. It's like, I'm calling it I'm not a doctor, but it's like a medical miracle, because the doctors were saying, oh, dude, you got a year before you're going to be ready, and like a day later, the dude's like dang, hitting the pads. I mean, I was like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah. He had a lot wrong with him, right? What exactly was wrong with him?
I mean, I heard, I didn't look
there was
into
a few things.
Basically what happened was he passed by GSP in the hotel lobby, and the alien that was in GSP leapt out of his body and into Whitaker's midsection and began to eat his organs. That's what happened. No, but he had some type of was it an ulcer or no? They said it was a staph infection, an internal staph infection.
God, imagine that.
When you see staph infections, it's on the outside and it's going into your body, but supposedly this was inside of him.
Jesus, that's rough, man. That's rough.
Yeah, but so wow. I mean, so anyway, back to my point. Why can't they why do they have to give a belt? That now it's like the UFC feels obligated anytime somebody is sick or is injured or whatever, they feel obligated to make an interim belt.
No. You know what the reason is, Ted?
Number one contender.
No, you know what the real reason is because they need to trick people into thinking that this fight is more important than it really is. That's what it really is all about.
The casuals.
Yeah. And they're trying to trick people. They don't even know what interim is. They just think it could be a weight division. They see interim championship fight and, there's a championship fight on tonight. I still don't think it's going to do well. How many interim titles are there out right now, first off?
I'm not even sure.
There's a couple. I think there's 2, 3. This would be the third, right?
Well, here's Isaac's got a point. He says, you know what? If it pays the fighters more to fight,
true.
Why not? True fans know it means number one contender. I mean, yeah, and certainly if I was a fighter and if the UFC approached me and they said, hey, Ted, we want you to fight for the interim title, I'd be like, make it worth my...
Yeah.
Sweeten the deal. I would definitely push for that. Even if I had a contract, I'd say, well, no, sorry, we're going to have to renegotiate. You really want me to fight for an interim title? Well, that's a big deal.
That's a really good point. Shout out to whoever said that. That's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're going to make it a big deal, you're going to make it a big deal? I'll make it a big deal.
Give me more money. Yes.
So that's a great point, Isaac. So, yeah, why don't we tell you what? I've got to attend to this situation in my household. Why don't we can we run through picks real quick?
Yes. So let's start with the main event and work backwards on this. Yoel versus Rockhold. Who you got? How's it going down, Ted?
I'm picking Yoel Romero by knockout. Not sure when exactly, second, third round, something like that. But
flying knee,
spinning back fist, something dynamic,
something explosive.
Explosive. Yep, it's gonna explode on him. Sorry, that didn't sound right. But anyway.
Hopefully it doesn't come out of Yoel's back end again, though.
No poopy. No poopy in the
pants.
What
were they calling that? The what gate? What were they calling Yoel's poopy pants?
I don't know.
Was there a name for it?
He had stool gate.
Stool gate. Yeah, that's right.
Had to do with stool gate. Had to do with in the Tim Kennedy fight. Yep. And then another time he had Watergate because he got water poured all over him. Right? Remember? Yeah, that. Yeah.
What I do? I don't know what I do.
Yo no sé. But anyway, yeah, so he's had a number of these gates. But, so no, I'm picking Yoel. I like the guy. And I just think he's the ageless wonder. I mean, the guy's 40-something years old. And but I think he's going to tear through Rockhold. Yeah,
he's a young 40. I'm leaning towards Rockhold submission. I see a lot of our listeners are going that way too on Twitter, but that could change at any minute. We'll see. I like watching the walkouts, as you guys know. All right, so our co-main event, but as right now, Rockhold third round submission. Co-main event. This is an exciting one, Ted. Mark Hunt versus Curtis Blaydes. Now, I've interviewed Curtis Blaydes before in the past. This is a big fight for him. I'm rooting for him, but I think Mark Hunt's going to get it done. Probably second round, maybe third.
Yeah, I'm picking Mark Hunt by knockout as well for that one. Yep, I think he's got the chin, and he's got the dynamite in the hands, and he's going to get it done with Blaydes. I don't think Blaydes is. I mean he's good. He's good. He's a good prospect. I just don't think he's quite there yet. I mean, he could prove us wrong, because it is this classic young gun versus grizzled veteran matchup that we see. You know what I mean? So, and we've seen it swing both ways. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound that way. But no, we've seen it. We've seen the pendulum swing either way. Whether sometimes the young gun beats the grizzled veteran, sometimes the grizzled veteran says, like Lyoto Machida says, "I'm sorry, it's not your time just yet."
And let's not forget the beef that Mark Hunt has with the UFC. So if it's a loss, you never know. All right, moving forward, our co-main event, Ted. What is this? Travera, it's very small text, versus Asker on this one. This is a throw-up for me. I have to look more into it. I'm leaning towards Asker currently. But like I said, I have to look more into that fight. You guys can expect the breakdown from me at Pure Evil MMA Podcast. Ted, what's your pick on this one?
Well, that's Tai Tuivasa versus Cyril Asker. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with Tai Tuivasa on that one. He's from Australia. Bam Bam. And undefeated, 6-0.
Nice.
You may remember he made his UFC debut in November against Rashad Coulter, knocked him out with a flying knee.
Oh shit! I do remember that. That. Coulter, man, he's had a rough ride so far.
He's only 24 years old, Tai Tuivasa, and he's 6'2", 265 pounds. And Cyril Asker, considerably older at 32 years old, also 6'2", but about 20 pounds lighter. But for Stipe it didn't matter. But then again, that's Stipe. Asker he's got 3 losses. He's at 9-3, but he does have 4 UFC fights. He's 2-2 in the UFC.
Yeah, it looks like
he struggles against guys who are heavy-handed strikers. So yeah, I the more I look at it, the more I think Tai Tuivasa with the knockout.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at his record and stuff and his background, I could totally see that going down. We'll have to see what happens on that one. But, yeah, I'm going with Asker. Not exactly sure. Maybe a decision. All right, moving forward, a fan favorite, especially down where this card is in Perth. We got Jake Matthews versus Jing Liang, who's 14-4, and Jake Matthews, who is 12-3. I'm going for Jake Matthews, man. I'm going behind the hometown favorite. I always like when he's on one of these cards. How is it going to go down? I don't know. Maybe a submission for Matthews. How do you see this one going, Ted?
You know, Eddie, just for argument's sake, I'm going to go with Li Jingliang. He's on a 4-fight win streak. And so was he at, he's a bit of a KO machine. I mean, he's got knockout, decision, and TKO. So, I'm going to say Li Jingliang by TKO over Jake Matthews.
Moving forward, we have Pedro, who is currently ranked number 13 in this weight division. He's going to go up against Safarov, who's 8-1, only lost one time his entire career, and has some really great stand-up. But, he has a chance to make the rankings finally if he can get past Pedro. That's going to be a tough thing to do. Pedro's only lost one fight in his entire career as well. Damn, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Pedro, probably KO early on, round 1 or 2. What's your pick here on this one, Ted? I mean, he's probably going to get a takedown, maybe a submission. That's what I'm going to go for.
Safarov, I mean, they're both coming off their first losses ever in their careers. And granted, their careers have not been that lengthy. But Safarov, he lost to John Vellante, who's a very hot and cold fighter. But he lost to him by TKO. You look at Tyson Pedro. He lost to Ilir Latifi, who is
Brickhouse Gorilla,
serious grappler. Lost to him by decision. Just based on that alone, I'm going to go with Tyson Pedro.
Moving forward, we got Brown versus Kim. Brown with a 17-11 record. Could confuse you, a lot of people. And Kim, what's up, Ted?
Sorry, Eddie. You know what? I should really get going here. I apologize, but that was the main card. I should probably.
Oh, that wraps up the main card. All right, guys. So I guess that's gonna wrap things up. Ted,
sorry, Eddie. I apologize. I mean, I gotta.
It's good. You got to take care of yourself. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to catch the complete breakdown, I'm sure Ted will going to give it to you. And along with the recap, I'll have it all at Pure Evil MMA. Thank you so much for tuning in. And, of course, behave yourselves.